Okay. I kind of feel like I'm a little off-centered, but I guess this is what we will have to deal with. My name is Elizabeth Sullivan. The last videos I actually posted were about Joe Dispenza, an amazing retreat I went to. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out. I am going to link it down below. Also, forgive my gaze of doing its own thing because, again, I have not shot YouTube videos in so long that I am kind of looking at the monitor and then looking at myself. So look at myself, look at you, look at myself, look at you, myself, you, myself, and then you. Okay, shall we start? I wanted to record this video about Russia, Moscow. As you guys know, or some of you that don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Sullivan, and my first name is a Russian name. My last name is married name. I'm married to an American, but my first name Elizabeth comes from Russia, and this is where I am from originally, from Mother Russia, with big bears and balalaika and all the good things you might have heard about Moscow. Also, another thing that is funny is that for a long time, my stage name back in the days when I was a singer was Moscow, right? Because I don't know why. Actually, my ballet teacher back in the days when I was doing ballet and doing musical theater stuff has called me. He gave everybody nicknames. He's an American ballet meister, how do you call it, ballet meister? He gave everybody nicknames because he couldn't remember any names, and he called me Moscow because that is what he believed embodied me the best, and I completely agree. I vibe with the energy of the city. I absolutely in love in Moscow. I haven't been to a lot of other Russian cities except for like St. Petersburg for a little bit, but I'm planning on doing that. So anyway, I grew up, and from a little ballet Moscow girl that turned rock star, turned drug addict and sex addict and all the fun things, I became a clinical psychologist and a hypnotherapist. And right now I'm working with women to help them achieve their full potential. I have various programs that are called Destination, where I shoot and record informational psychological courses to develop this or that area of your life, mixed with an energetic egregor of a specific location, right? So I travel over the world, I travel across the world, and I go into specific cities and countries that are famous energetically, mentally, ancestrally, generationally for this or that thing, and I tune in that energy and I give it to you through the prism of psychological courses and trainings, which is amazing. I absolutely in love with that thing. So look out for Destination. Anyway, what I wanted to record this video today, I went to Russia and I was like, what is the Destination Russia? What is Destination Russia? What is this energy? And I wrote down a little bit of notes that I didn't shoot a course over there. Not yet, maybe one day, but I did find a lot of...
Where's my second earring? But there you go, hello.
But I wanted to share with you, because I didn't record a course over there, so I wanted to share with you some of the things that I have noticed, the differences between a Russian mentality and American mentality. And funny enough, having an American husband, and I have been living in the United States for over 9 years right now. Soon, maybe in a few years, I will have lived in the United States more than I have lived in Russia, which is interesting. But I still have my whole family in Russia, and being married again to American, living in American society, being born and raised in Russia, I can tell the main differences between these two cultures that historically have been butting heads for way too long. And the main thing about that, the main reason for that, you will be surprised, is because we are way too alike. We are literally like brothers and sisters. We're like brothers, sisters from another mother. Think about it, how funny it is. Russia, for my perception, in my head, it's a she, right? Russia is a she. And America is a she as well. Let me know down in the comment below, what do you think? Like, what gender would you assign to this country? Because you know, when you think about something, when you think about a word, you intuitively think of it as a he or she, feminine or masculine. For me, both of these countries are feminine. These are two sisters from different mister, okay? That's why they're butting heads. They are way too alike. They have been very alike. They have been very powerful in the world dynamics. That is like one of the things that I wanted to say. But I also noticed a couple of different things, and I wrote them out for me in terms of what are the main differences between Russian and American. let's get into it. Or what I was actually able to notice being in Russia and being a psychologist about this culture, about what the heck is going on. Well, first thing, just spilled some water. Okay, some of the things that I wanted to mention, some of the things that are worth mentioning in my opinion. One, we're way too alike. Number two, everybody has been asking me, because of the current situation in the world, the war, or thing, I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, the thing between and how is it in Russia? How is it in Moscow right now? And the way I answer this question is whenever when my plane landed in Moscow, and I got out and I felt myself, right? We can sense a lot of things. I teach intuition a lot in, for example, my financial courses because it helps with money. And I walk out of the plane and I'm like, did a big breath, felt the energy, what's going on around me, and it was great. Like, it was very calm and soothing and loving and peaceful. It does not feel haywire, which is amazing, again, as a Russian citizen. And I think this is important to mention. The way we perceive our motherland is the way we perceive our mother, right? Even the words are similar in its structure, motherland, mother. Right? I was born in Russia. Russia will always be my mother. And regardless of the fact that I do feel comfortable and I love living in the United States, I love actually traveling all over the world. I am like a rolling stone, just like me, and I will be gone. Like, I've been in LA for not even a week since my trip, and before that I went to San Diego for the retreat, and before that we went to Vermont and New Hampshire. I cannot stay in the same place for too long. But regardless of the fact that I'm like a rolling stone, the child that has spread its wings, Russia will always be my mother to me. And whenever somebody or something is accusing or bullying it or threatening it, I will dig my claws, I will dig my fangs, and I will be protecting it. I do have that inside of me. And whenever people are telling me, or in this new situation that we're all in, people are like, especially people from Russia, they start accusing it, or people from other places and nations and cities. I get Ukrainians, I get Russians who are protecting their country. We're all going to be protecting our country. So if you are watching this video, just ask yourself, like, as an analytical, mental, psychological exercise, what are your feelings towards your motherland? Okay? Will you protect it? Do you feel connected to it? Do you feel secure in it? Do you feel like you're being bullied by it? And then try to analyze and bring some parallels to your relationship with your motherland and your relationship with your mother, because they're very, very similar. It's just like our skin. Our skin is also the representation of our mother. That's why I have so many tattoos on me, as you can see. It was my teenage rebellion. My teenage rebellion years against my mother. So yeah, we all have that. And regardless of that, this is just my little psychological tool. Whenever I landed in Moscow, I felt peaceful. I felt calm. I was very happy that it didn't have that haywire, it didn't have that energy of like being threatened, of anxiousness, of panic, of anything negative to it. It really felt very, very warm and soothing. So I love you, Moscow. Always and forever will. Another thing that I've noticed, there are 3 things that I wanted to mention. And I actually even did a reel about this topic on my Instagram. And this is why you are able to sense Russian woman anywhere in the world. Wherever you are in Dubai, wherever you're in America, in Mexico, in Bali, in Europe, you will be able to tell a Russian woman on the street. You'll be like, oh, you are Russian. Oh, you are Russian. You are Russian. Russian, I mean like Russian speaking. It might be from the countries they used to be a part of the USSR. And why is that? And we're considered to be the most beautiful women in the world, right? The Russian, having a Russian wife is like having a trophy wife. She's always glamorous. She always takes care of herself. She likes gifts. She has this feminine energy. She's still very feisty, but the visual look of it is a big and important aspect. And I did this reel that actually went very nicely on Instagram. You can actually go ahead and check it out as well. There you go. And the reason for that is because I never noticed this before, but me myself, I know myself very well. Being a clinical therapist, you have to be in therapy yourself for many hours. And I know I have a narcissistic trauma, which I'm okay with. I know how to deal with this part of me. But actually, most of Russian women and men have narcissistic trauma. And because we're raised on the standards that say you are not who you are what you achieve, you are your external representation. And how I got to this thought was actually sitting in the car, and I was driving somewhere with my mom, and I was showing her the girl that was the daughter of our like mutual friends, right? Our families were friends for quite some time, and we spent some time together. So I've known her from a young age. She's a few years younger than me. And I showed my mom her Instagram, and she's like, she's scrolling through that. And instead of asking the questions about this girl, like, oh, she looks so good, she's, this and that, the first few questions that came out of her mouth, without any negative connotation to it, where does she work? Oh, is she married to who? Oh, what did she graduate, right? So these external kind of status creating elements to it were the first questions that she asked about a person that she hasn't seen in quite some time. And that is the reason for narcissistic trauma. Again, I do not blame my mother whatsoever, because in USSR, everybody were raised a certain way. She was raised a certain way. But whenever you are judged from a young age, not for who you are, you're not loved for who you are, but you feel like you're loved for specific attributes to you, right? Your grades, where you went to school, who are your friends with, who you marry, what car you're driving, what purse you're wearing, where do you go to vacation and stuff like that. So right there and then in the car when I was driving, I was like, boo! Oh, right, that is why Russian women are considered to be the most beautiful women in the world, and that is why we have this tendency of over-representing ourselves, right? We really take care of ourselves. We really put makeup. We really put heels on. We work on our bodies. It matters to us what our husbands wear. It matters to us who we're friends with. It matters to us where we go on vacation, what we're wearing. And we feel like this put together, this very elevated in various aspects of life. Because of this reason, because we are raised to feel like we're loved from what we attribute, or from what we achieve, from what we possess, from what we show into the world, if that makes sense. It's so funny. My mom was just calling me, so I don't know if this audio did save. Another few things that I have mentioned, that I have noticed during this trip, this video is already 20 minutes long. I will have to edit all that. Okay, three things. Let's get through them and move on with my life, move on with my day. Okay. Second thing I have noticed is an importance of hierarchy. And again, this is an outcome of that narcissistic trauma. It was actually really funny because I landed and I was traveling first class, and we were landing and we're leaving the plane in Moscow. And as I'm walking, like I got out of the gate and I'm walking towards the passport control, I can see two men running. They're running to the gate. They're like really running, sweating. I'm like, I wonder what they're doing. They're probably like bodyguards or something. And yeah, of course, 3 minutes later, as I'm walking, the car goes in the same direction with these two men sitting in the back of that like little buggy car, right? Little golf cart, just like looking straight. They're sitting in the back of the golf cart and they're looking back. They're looking like forward, right? So they ended up being bodyguards, which I thought was really funny because like we're all traveling first class. There are literally like 5-10 people in the airport. Not a lot of planes go in Russia because of the sanctions. Just the Turkish Airlines. So kudos to them. Thank you, Turkish Airlines, for still doing the business. They are actually making really good money right now. So yeah, any crisis is an equal opportunity. Okay, so yeah, that was actually really funny. And I was like, welcome to Moscow. Welcome to the city where the hierarchy is considered to be a very important trait. You have to show your status. You have to show exactly where you are to be able to be treated a certain way. And it's just a part of the culture. It is a part of our nation. Russia used to be based on hierarchy for generations and generations. We had kings, we had czars, we had elite, right? We had these different social structures for a long time, and they still remain in our DNA. They still remain in the ancestral patterns of our beings, of our nation. And I actually really love it. And when I moved to the United States, when I moved to America, we got into a lot of fights with my husband because of this topic. Because I was like, I felt threatened on a DNA level, on my biological level. I felt threatened whenever my status weren't shown, if that makes sense. So we would go to a restaurant. I'm used to a certain way of service, a certain level of service. And I would tell him, look, make sure you know your number. I have an amazing exercise about this on my IGTV on Instagram, which is I actually got when I was studying acting back in Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London. But there is an amazing exercise that teaches you to show this hierarchical status on your non-verbal level, because this is how you're perceived by your surroundings. And being from Russia, in our culture, it is heightened. People can sense it, people can see it and know exactly where you stand, and this is the way you position yourself in the society. So yeah, those bodyguards might have not been doing or playing the part or role of, actually saving you from somebody as much as it was an attribute to your social status. So we would get into a lot of fights in restaurants or with other things whenever we would start flying or being successful ourselves and doing, these private trips all over the world. And I would sense it. I would be like, make sure you know where you stand. And whenever this level is not being sensed by others, this is where I start feeling threatened. I'm like, oh no, I'm physically threatened, right? Because when you have a certain status, you have a certain amount of not only prestige it is, but safety. It's a representation of safety. It's a representation of respect, but mainly safety. You know that if you're perceived as if you're a king or a czar, if I were to elaborate or exaggerate it a little bit, you are not going to be dying of a common, cough or something. You get the best doctors, you get good food, you're taken care of. And whenever the lower you are, the lower you get, the less security you have on those levels. Because you have to work, right? We had slavery ourselves, so you had to work, you died very young, you had to try to take care not only of your family, but yourself and your kids and your owner, your master, and stuff like that. So that was a big point of Russian-American mentality differences. Whenever I would point out these things, I would point out to pay attention to what you bring out, to pay attention the way you represent yourself verbally and non-verbally amongst society. Let me share this one last thing, and if you guys like it, let me know, share, subscribe, and do all the good things to me, okay? Last thing, which is also important, but that is kind of the opposite of what, not the opposite, but it's an interesting addition to that. So yes, I have been saying a lot about the status. I was talking a lot about the narcissistic trauma in the Russian culture, but on top of that, or kind of it goes hand by hand, I feel much more secure in Russia than I feel in America. And I felt that when I went to a rock concert, again, when I was 17, when I was 16, not even 17, I left country when I was 17, probably 15, 16, 17. Social services, don't watch this. But I was partying a lot with rock stars, with rock circles, this underground, vibey, alternative people, right? They were older than me. We would drink and do all types of crazy things. A lot of haywire was going on in those days, and I haven't been in that scene for a long time. So I come to Moscow. I have only a week, and I text this guy that was my first love. I loved him so much. He was my first boyfriend, not boyfriend type of thing, but definitely my first love. And he was like also about like 10 years older than me. But back then, you could feel it a little bit because I was like 15. And we would party a lot. We would party our fucking heads off. And I text him and we meet each other because we know each other very well. He's now married as well. He has a kid. And he invites me to go to this rock concert. And we go to this arena, to this big concert place, and I'm just noticing my feelings. I'm noticing what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, what I'm observing in that moment, and being the observer of it. And we go backstage to kind of like drink and party. And right then and there, I realized that I feel freaking safe. I don't know anybody over here. I only know like maybe 2 people, 3 people, a guy that I came with, and maybe like 1 or 2 other guys. That is it. I do not know this band. It was like some random rock rap band that was playing. They're actually pretty good. But I feel safe. I know that if I leave my bag over here, I will be fine. I know that nobody's gonna roofie me. I know that no one will try to, use me for my money, for my look, for my status, for anything. I know I feel safe. I know like I feel in my family. I feel like I'm with my family right now. I don't know these people. I feel absolutely safe. We go to the bar after that and everything. And I'm noticing this because I'm like, that's so interesting. Because when I had my party days in Los Angeles or in New York, I never felt that way. I was robbed, I was roofied, I was taken advantage of, and I did not feel that at all in Moscow, at all, with people I didn't know. And when I was in LA, I was partying. I was like in the crazy, very depressive years for at least 3 years in my life. And I knew a lot of these people. I hung out with a lot of these people. And they were like very different people, but never ever in my life have I felt the same safety as I felt in Russia. And I remember that is why when I came to America, I was pursuing rock career as well, because I was searching for that sense of family. I was searching for that sense of, security and safety. And I couldn't feel it here. And even though now you see the contrast, now you see that even though Russians are very much more strict maybe, or precise or harsh maybe, in your representation, you have to be somebody, you have to show your status, you have to have a certain social interactions that have been established for generations and generations, you still feel secure over there. You know that it will you're taken care of. You don't feel threatened. You don't feel like somebody's gonna rip your throat, okay? Whereas in America, even though you're much more polite in the social interactions, you're much more cautious in the way you put things, you say things, you talk to other people, but there are no such things as established societal institutes over here. The Institute of a Family, Institute of Friendship, Institute of Colleagueship, right? Workship. These institutes of social interactions are not as established as they are in Russia. Over here, the main focus goes on individualism. And when you focus on individualism, you are much weaker. You do not have that strength around you. You might feel as freaking confident as you can be in your personality. There we go, even the camera stopped in my last minutes. You might feel as freaking strong, as confident as you can be, as built up, you're the best, you're the top of the world, you are the greatest, but you can never be the greatest by yourself. And I think that is an amazing video that I have just shot. Thank you guys for staying with me. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah!